Hi, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Proud to live in the greatest country in the world. Unfiltered opinions, no PC discussion here. Agree, disagree, hate it, love it, it's all good. Sit back and enjoy some unfiltered commentary. We discuss politics, culture, interviews, and more. Your comments are always welcome. Please help the channel by hitting that subscribe button. Doesn't cost a thing. And as always, thanks for your support. Hi folks, welcome back. Well, some good news. We'll see how it works out. New Ohio law bans free speech zones, viewpoint-based security fees at public universities. Senate Democrats loved it. House Democrats hated it. Well, the ACLU and American Association of University Professors opposed it. Well, then automatically, I don't care what the topic is. If the ACLU and the Association of University Professors oppose it, I have to be for it. I don't care what it is. But Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed the legislation anyway. Before we get started, I want to thank all my new subscribers. I really appreciate it. And it looks like I'm kind of getting shadow banned here. I know I'm a small channel, but I should be getting more views, more subscribers. Not that I'm any Tim Pool or anything, but it's just the numbers are getting lower and lower. I have a strange feeling of being shadow banned. So what I'm going to ask people to do, it doesn't cost them anything. Share this video as much as you can and subscribe, of course. And as the subscriber base goes up, we'll get more and more views and get the channel out and running. Whether you agree with me or not, I think I have a right to voice my opinion and my analysis on political views, historical views. And being shadow banned, I think, is a really crappy, dirty trick. And I would really, really, truly appreciate it if you could share this video or any of my videos as much as you possibly can on other social media platforms. And if any of you know where the better social media platforms are to go on, I know Parler is one, please leave a comment in the comment section. Let's go on. Ohio is the latest state to ban so-called free speech zones at public universities, which cordon off student speech to a tiny out-of-the-way area that may also require reservations or prior approval to use. SB-40 also bans public institutions from charging security fees for students' events based on viewpoint or anticipated reaction, a common problem for right-of-center events. That's true. What they'll do is the con job they give is, sure, you can have the hall. Sure, you can do it. We need $15,000 for security. We need $20,000 for security. And some of these speakers aren't cheap. I know there's a lawsuit going on now here in Binghamton, New York, at Binghamton University concerning Art Lofter. Came about a year ago. Barely introduced himself. In fact, I don't even think he got to introduce himself, and he was, of course, heckled by the heckler's veto, and he had to leave. And those poor kids had to pay him anyway. It's part of his contract. It's not his fault they wouldn't let him speak. The same genius as Citizen Action and Plot here locally. Those, I'm trying to just figure out why they do the things they do, and the only thing you can figure out is anything that opposes them. If they have a list of 20 demands and you meet 19 of them, you're still a monster. These people have no idea of compromise, no idea of open exchange of ideas. They hate it. A common problem for right-of-center events are these really, really high security fees. It adopts the Supreme Court's definition of student-on-student harassment, which is far narrower than standards often found in campus codes. The Foundation of Individual Rights and Education shared DeWine's Friday signature using the medical language of quarantine to describe how some public universities treat unpopular speech. That's true. They consider things like just conservative things like it's preferable to be married before having children, or just common sense things. Some of the social programs and some of the things that they talk about, gun rights, and actually free speech, or even talking about free speech, is considered hate speech on campuses. What the hell happened? What the hell happened to the Berkeley 1960s crowd when the ACLU used to actually stand for something? The American Civil Liberties Union. Civil liberties now are closing down speech you don't like. The whole thing's been flipped. It's just amazing. The Civil Liberties Group know that the bill, the Forming Open and Robust University Minds Act, that's interesting name, was especially popular in the Senate, where it passed unanimously. Now, this is the Ohio Senate. Passed unanimously in January. The House didn't pass the bill until this month, with a closer yet lopsided tally of more than 2-to-1 support. 6 House Democrats crossed the aisle to support the bill, and every no vote was a Democrat. Democrats voting no on free speech on college campuses. My God, what's happened? And I'm a former Democrat. I left the party in 2013. I live in upstate New York. I'm a former local city council member, council president in 2006 as a Democrat. And I just don't know what's happened to the Democrats. They're unrecognizable. It's amazing to me what's happened. Ohio is the 18th state that banned free speech zones, according to FIRE. The rest are either solidly conservative or purple, including Colorado, North Carolina, and Virginia. College students deserve to know that the free exchange of ideas will not be inhibited by campus authorities, Tyler Conrad, FIRE's legislative counsel, said in a statement. When did campus authorities start banning points of view? My God, it's usually the college age kids, and they are kids. I'm 64, so they're kids to me. They're the ones that whatever the authority wants, they do the opposite. It's been that way for hundreds of years. Younger people going against, they used to call it the man back in the old days. It's the authority. Whatever happened to that? Now they're lock and step. It's just amazing to me, the slow turn over time, that the ACLU now is just unrecognizable. And all it's about is collecting their millions and millions of dollars in fundraising and just piling this money up. It's amazing. You know, that's one of the negative things of the internet. The internet's a wonderful thing. Like all things can be misused, but it's a wonderful tool. But the thing is, though, almost any group at any time can raise money nationwide in a second, setting up a Go Help Me page, Go Help Me Fund, or any pages to just collect money. Same with politicians. Someone from Queens, AOC, comes to mind, can all of a sudden now get millions and millions of dollars for all over the country, whereas before the internet, that was almost impossible. You had to go through the DNC, the RNC, or whatever organization to do it. Now you can do it on your own. And it's caused a lot of grief, to be honest with you. Media coverage of the bill's recent history doesn't explain the 10-month gap between its unanimous Senate passage, and House consideration. When was the last time any state Senate passed a bill unanimously? But House Democrats claim would only benefit right-wing speech, ignoring the fact that the bill language is content neutral and also revokes long-standing unconstitutional statutory language against communists. I just don't understand. It would benefit right-wing speech only. Well, that's the only speech that's banned. Of course it would benefit. What's this right-wing speech? How about conservative and liberal? How about conservative and progressive? Why is everybody that's one tiny millimeter past right of center all of a sudden a right-wing person? Or if you're on the left and you're towards the center, you're a moderate. Well, there's not many moderate Democrats left. I used to be one, but at the state and national level, they're slowly getting weeded out. And the ones that are there keep their heads down and just go along with the progressive nut bars because they want to keep their seats or their jobs. When Republican Representative Nirja Antani noted that Senate Democrats unanimously supported the bill and suggested that House Democrats oppose it simply because it's Republican-sponsored. Democrat Representative Catherine Ingram called the speculation nonsense. Well, then what's the reason? Ingram even claimed the bill would make campuses less safe. Yeah, because they got these kids brainwashed that anybody that's even close to right of center is evil. Anybody that's close to right of center hates their guts. They're racist. They're every vile name you can think of, and all they care about is power and money, and it's ridiculous. When the actuality is, these kids have been hearing it from junior high and high school, and now they're in college, and they're completely brainwashed. Completely. These morons think that Donald Trump, and he has a lot of faults, don't get me wrong, and I'm a Trump supporter. He has a lot of personality faults, and I think his first 2 years as president, he made a lot of really crappy personnel choices. It's like you can be critical without being nasty. They think he's a Hitler. They think he's a dictator. They actually think all these draconian lockdowns are because of Trump. It's just, I don't understand how someone could have the facts so wrong. I call them flat earthers, frankly, because, and I wonder if any of them are even savable as far as their ideology goes. And that's what happens. These kids get out of college. They've been told since they were in junior high school, well, they call it middle school now, that everybody right of center is evil. And if you don't believe there's 1,018 genders and all the other crazy bullshit that they've been hearing their whole lives, that they're evil. And then they get out in the real world. And the real world is getting more, quote unquote, woke, which I hate. But they're getting chewed up. They're finding that they're milquetoast, spineless. They have no backbone. They can't take criticism. They can't take rejection. And they end up pissed. They end up madder than hell. They're $50, $70, $100,000 in debt. And now they're out in the real world looking for a job, and they can't find one because the lousy courses they took made them totally unprepared to be in the world. And I don't mean just gender studies, as Ben Shapiro kids around that your degree in lesbian dance theory doesn't really bring much on the open market. That's an exaggeration, of course, but does prove the point. What do these degrees actually bring to the table in the real world? And these kids are what, 21, 22 when they get out of school? I think they're going to walk into a $100,000 job, $100,000 a year. And it's not happening. They've been sold a bill of goods. And here's the part that's really bizarre to me. Why don't they finally realize that the educators at junior high, high school, and especially at college level are the ones that fed them the lies, that conned them the whole time? They make these huge salaries. I mean, you ever see the list of just an administration of a major college? My God, it makes even the Politburo back in the old Soviet Union days will go, what? It's insane. They're making huge salaries for doing nothing. They have dozens and dozens of diversity officers. I mean, give me a break. Making big salaries. And then on top of that, of course, it's the platinum plan health insurance, which is incredibly expensive. And the pension fund. These people are retiring in their 50s, living another 30 years with the platinum health insurance plan and huge pensions. It's just amazing to me. They're the ones that are ripping off these kids. They're the ones that are causing these kids to go into debt. But yet the kids side with them. I just don't understand. It's one of the best. I'll tell you what. It makes Bernie Madoff look like a joke. This is one of the best con jobs, I think, in the history of the United States, for billions and billions of dollars. Anyway, folks, at least there's a crack of light coming in now. Passing a law and have it actually happening on college campuses is a whole different gig, and it looks like we're going to have a Democrat president. and hopefully the Republicans keep hold of the Senate. And those of you out there that are hardline Democrats, I like checks and balances. I don't like one-party rule. One-party rule always ends up in disaster. Look at New York State and California and Illinois are 3 examples. Anyway, folks, I thought this is somewhat good news. We'll see if they actually go through with it. When some controversial speaker goes in Ohio, one of the universities there, they can't be private universities. They have to be public because private universities are, just by definition in the name, private. But public universities getting public taxpayer funds should be open to all ideas. I'll be honest with you. You should have the guy come in with a communist flag and talk about how wonderful communism is. And then the next day, have a very conservative person. You can even have, at least in theory, I wouldn't want to, have a very right wing white nationalist who I can't stand, and I can't stand racists, and I don't like those guys, but they got the right. If you remember years ago, I think it was Muncie, Indiana, when the Klan got a permit to march, and the Supreme Court ruled that that's what free speech is all about. Free speech is you don't have to go to the speech, you don't have to go to the lecture, but they have a right to be wrong. And that's the way it's always been, and I hope it continues that way because the First and Second Amendment right now are under some severe pressure. And I'll be honest with you, I'm scared to death what's going to happen in Congress. Now, the Supreme Court pussied out hearing a case that should have been heard from the Texas Attorney General. Our institutions that have long stood for checks and balances in federal government are bending, and I hope they don't break. Anyway, folks, that's the story out of Ohio. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.